hooker. These days, it seems the true bluesmen only get on the TV when some careerist rock bore is paying tribute to his roots. But back in the mid-60s, the White Boys were queuing up to be black R&B singers. From the same show, The Beat Room, in 1964, here's Tom Jones, grappling manfully, could he do it any other way, with one of the lousiest lyrics in history. When it dawned on the rest of the media that pop music was a multi-million-pound industry, littered, even in its infancy, with superstars and casualties, they sat up and took notice. Here's an early bit of investigative journalism on pop music by World in Action.
This is the pop business as the customers see it. The groups and the fans see pops as one long swinging ring-a-ding rave-up, a ball, a good time. But the agents, the managers, and all the other promoters see it differently. To them, it's business, and the pop groups are the human merchandise.
I'm gonna love you night and day. Well, you know my love and I'll fade away. Well, you know my love and I'll fade away.
Only 3 long years ago, there were 2 young men who were making money for themselves and for lots of other people besides. One of them was Terry Dean, born Williams, once hailed as Britain's Elvis Presley. He spoke to us as he walked, 24 years old and alone, among the empty dreams of Denmark Street in London, Tin Pan Alley itself.
My stardom disappeared almost overnight. I went to various doctors and people for advice. I even spoke to some people in the business. But it's very, very difficult sometimes to explain some things inside you that seem to go wrong.
In 1960, which is all of 4 years ago, Ricky Valance sang a song called Tell Laura I Love Her. The record sold 250,000 copies and so won a silver disc.
Tell Laura I need her. Tell Laura not to cry.
Today, Ricky Valance can walk along the crowded promenade at Bridlington in Yorkshire and nobody turns a head.
Tell Laura I love her.
In a seafront cafe, Ricky, aged 25, looks back on the young Ricky, aged 21.
As one can imagine at this particular time, I made quite a lot of money from Tell Laura and the other records. But I was an idiot at the time because I felt that there was plenty more where this came from. Unfortunately, this was my big mistake, and a lot of other people's too. The thing is, at this particular moment, I would like to say that I have learned from my mistakes. I really have learned. And I feel that given another chance, I really feel this, after studying it from quite a wide angle, that if I could just get another chance again, I think I could really make it again.
Ah, the fickleness of audiences. Well, they're not that fickle. Ricky Valance can still walk down the front at Bridlington and no one recognises him. Ricky Valance may be gone, but I should tell you, the Captain's Cabin Cafe is still there. The message from World in Action seemed to be, don't try it for yourself, kids. But if you're still determined, here's a guide on how to record the best single in the history of pop.
OK, studio, stand by. 5 from now.
There you go, that's the counting. Now we're off. Then we test to make sure the voices are right and in tune. He looks quite happy.
I see these dreams so hard to beat. Every time she walks down the street, another girl in the neighborhood. Wish she was mine, she looks so good. I wanna hold her tight. Get teenage kicks right through the night.
That's what the engineer hears, and what we hear, just the voice. But even though in the background the band are still playing, as you can see.
I need excitement, oh, I need it bad. And it's the best I've ever had. I wanna hold her tight. Get teenage kicks right through the night. All right.
Notice that extra voice on the end. That means they're covering a track where they've recorded before. So that's not the first time they put the voice on. Now, the rest of the band are listening on their earphones to the sound that the other lads are making. And the engineer, like us, is watching it on the meters, which shows us that nothing's going over the top.
Another girl in the neighborhood. Wish she was mine.
Coming up to the end now, lads. No mistakes.
I wanna hold her tight. Get teenage kicks right through the night. All right.
Capturing the live performance came a step closer to reality the day somebody walked on stage with a handheld camera. Suddenly, the viewer was no longer in the audience, but in the band. Hey, you too can join the Clash.
Yeah, they're just going to tune up so it sounds like the record. Who wants it to sound like the record? Me neither. What does it mean to me? What does it mean to you? Fuck off!
Well, that's your lot for a little night music. Hope you've enjoyed it. But stay tuned to 1001 Nights for more oddities from the archive.
Hey, you still here then?
I'm afraid so.
Well,
yeah.
I'm shutting up shop. You're going to have to clear off. You turned up late and you think you can hang about here? Well, no, you're not going anywhere near 1991, are you?
Only if we can do a detour past the 80s. Can we do that?
All right, then, yeah. Can I have a croggy?
Yep.
Smashing.
You've been on one of these before?
Oh, it's like sitting on a razor blade. Go on, then. Off we go.
What a jump! Evil's riding the amazing stunt cycle. That gyro power sends him over 100 feet at top speed. Loop-de-loop, and he's not through yet. Into the dragster. Evil's super sprint car with built-in drag chute to slow him down. What a hope! And now, the Sky Cycle. That daredevil, death-defying supersonic skyplane on wheels. And here he is on the super cool chopper bike with the power that can really rip. He's sensational. He's Evel Knievel. He's a knockout. He's ideal.
Love poem. I saw you in the park. I wanted you to be my friend. I tunnelled my snout up your non-barking end.
That's the Japanese for who wants it first.
In a North London street, we tied a dog to a railing. A hidden camera recorded what happened. Within 5 minutes, the dog was released. Later, we chained a child to the same railings in the same street. After half an hour, no one had made any attempt to remove her chains or even to comfort her.
Dogs now enjoy so much power in Western society that they're pushing into the background such old bugbears as the Red Menace, the threat of the Black Hordes, and the Yellow Peril. So insidious is this invasion of man's feelings and affections that the question must be asked, are the dogs taking over?
I'm thinking of getting a new man, Albert.
You're in the right place, Silvermer. This is the man's home where I acquired Victor. All the men here are trained to carry kennel meat. They have a nose for the meat, liver, and vitamins in kennel meat that keeps us dogs active.
Then aren't they rather expensive, Albert?
Not at all. You see, Silvermer, they have no pedigree. Have they, Victor?
Quite apart from meat bought at the butcher's, they eat 25 million pounds worth of canned food a year, and a further 9 million pounds worth of biscuits and meal. That's more than all the sales in a year of toothpaste and razor blades, the same as the market in tinned and packet soups, and very nearly as much as is spent on instant coffee. But much more staggering is the fact that dog food sales are more than 4 times as high as prepared baby food sales. One company alone spends £2 million a year on television advertisements.
Link-collared coats are new, for dogs at any rate. And for outdoors, what better than a 5-piece outfit? 4 booties and 1 coat in weatherproofed nylon.
Appearance, rather than performance, has become all-important.
Champion Barantheus St. Malachy, prize Yorkshire Terrier, known to his friends as Mike. To him, being a show dog is much like being a fashion model. It requires much patience and much grooming. Some people would say it's all worthwhile, however, for this little 4-pound dog is valued at £1,000, say £17 an ounce, which is 1.5 times the price of gold.
Petra has to be British television's most famous dog. Just before Christmas, 1962, the head of children's programmes appeared in the Blue Peter studio with a large cardboard box tied up in ribbons. He handed it over to the presenters, who were Valerie Singleton and Christopher Trace, who cut the ribbons and revealed this tiny, 8-week-old, brown and black mongrel puppy. That was the dog's first and last television appearance. 2 days later, we had a telephone call from our dog expert who was looking after the puppy to say the dog had died of distemper. The kindest thing to do, thinking of viewers, was to find a substitute. We had lots of photographs of the dead dog, and armed with these, we set off one cold and snowy morning to search the pet shops of London for the dead dog's look-alike. And if the pet shop owners thought it rather strange to see this intense couple trying to match their dogs against a sheaf of photographs of a late puppy, they didn't show it. But we had absolutely no luck, and we were plunged in despair as we moved further and further from Shepherd's Bush, until we struck Lewisham. And there we were lucky, because there, in a dingy pet shop window, shivering in the corner of a pen, was this tiny brown and black puppy with pricked up ears and a terrier-shaped muzzle. Not one single viewer spotted the swap. It was the first and last Blue Peter deception, and that little runt of the litter lived for 15 years. And in terms of the sheer pleasure that Petra gave to children and adults alike in a turbulent and often frightening world. She truly was a dog for everyone.
Political poem. The welfare in this country isn't very well defined. What kind of a government lets a programme like Blue Peter organise the guide dogs for the blind, eh? There came 3 wise men from the east, and so it came to pass, the wise men found the shepherds, a bit working class.
Definitely C2 family.
Yes, I think so.
This?
I think the lady possibly sets her own hair, which is always an indication.
Yes. The children are nicely dressed.
Yes, they are. Yes.
Probably a skilled worker.
A skilled, yes,
yes,
a skilled worker.
I would
think
say so. Yes, I would
with
say
certain
so.
apprenticeship or done some
That's right.
qualifying time.
We agree then.
Yes, we think
We think so. Yes.
To this day, the BBC is thought of as the organ of the, as it were, genteel and respectable elements in society.
Anything wrong with that?
Vivian Smith has O-level in kennel hygiene. Simon Zinc Trumpet Harris married to a very attractive table lamp. Nigel Incubator Jones, his best friend is a tree, and in his spare time he's a stockbroker. Gervais Brook Hamster is in the Guards, and his father uses him as a waste paper basket. And finally, Oliver St. John Mollusk, Harrow in the Guards, thought by many to be this year's outstanding twit.
The Duke of Athol's got some funny friends. One, a man who's always scratching himself.
He doesn't know personally everybody on his estate. Well, I've got a free house, firewood, and the grazing of 2 cows, 2 followers, granted to me by the present Duke.
I think it's time he was getting married.
Well, I once met the Duke of Atholl, and he's a long, thin man, and he wears a kilt, and he's got a big nose, and he talks awful posh.
The Duke's own description of himself is...
average. Neither excessively stupid nor excessively bright. Always passed all exams in a rather moderate way. I don't know what else. Don't think I'm particularly abnormal in any way. Hopeless at games.
And now it's kicking the beggar. Simon's there, and he's putting the bogey. And not terribly hard, but there's a lot of Starlings, but he's down, so Simon can move on. Now, Vivian's there. Vivian is there and waiting for a chance. Here he comes. Oh, a real piles right. A real piles right.
I still think and still find that one is still looked up to and expected to have a certain feeling of what is right and what is wrong, and one's supposed to set an example.
They're coming up to the dirt. Gervais first, Vivian second, Simon third, and now they've got to take the bras off from the front. This is really difficult, this is really the most difficult part of the entire competition. Oh my God, they're having a bit of trouble in there, I think.
And then, come April or May, you have a daughter to bring out in London, which involves an enormous expense. You probably have to hock a bit of your wife's jewellery or sell a picture or something in order to put a great clod-hopping girl onto the market in London in a kind of polite way. You doll her up as best you can and say, sit up and talk up and, God's sake, pull yourself together, and why must you look such a mess, and all these things. And you spend 2 or 3 hideous months, and before you know where it is, it's sort of Ascot, Goodwood, and then there's awful things like cows, where you go and get sick all over a yacht for about a month. It's unbelievably awful. And then by the time you're chasing these grouse again.
And your first number is 6 and 2 and 62. White self at number 8. Top of the house at 90. 8-0 at 80. 3-0 at 30.
Well, when I were young, and I'll tell you, I were working up Pit Top 5 days a week, and half a day at Saturday, I used to go to a pub on a Sunday morning and scrub it out, so many rooms, and all legs at tables were all black-leaded, I'd to them, and I got 1 and 6 for that and my dinner. And when I got home, my mother were holding her hand out for 1 and 6. I had to give out 1 and 6 as well.
Luxury. Will you
used to get up at 3, clean the lake, eat a handful of hot gravel, then we'd work in mill for 20 hours for twopence a month, then we'd come home and Dad would beat us about the head and neck with a broken bottle, if we were lucky.
Paradise. We had it tough. I used to have to get out at shoebox at midnight, lick road clean, eat a couple of bits of cold gravel, work 23 hours a day at mill for a penny every 4 years, and when we got home, Dad used to slice us in half with a bread knife.
Right.
I'm going to tell you something. I think I've got the record of bringing the least wages home that anybody ever brought, funnily enough. I started to work at 14 in the pit, and 1 week I got 4 shifts in, and the following week I got 6 shifts in. And the week when I first started, in 1927, I drew 1 penny per week, because I was paying back rent for the 1926 strike, you follow? Yeah. And the miners had a meeting, and benevolent as they are, they agreed to give a penny a week to Dr. Barnardo's, you know. So that week I got 4 in. I got Faith Open Charity. Nothing. Now you tell me anybody brought less home than that. Oh, it's true.
Aye, and you try and tell that to the young people of today. Will they believe you? No.
So, 5/6 of the show complete. Still severely short. Must try harder.
Hollywood Nights 100, take 1. Yes, it's Hollywood Nights. With the fabulous, the one and only Miss Ruby Wax.
On tonight's show, I have as my guest
Robert Mitchum.
I just felt needed and wanted.
Dustin Hoffman.
I really would like to play Hitler.
Sean Connery.
I know exactly what it is to be without money.
Miss Joan Crawford.
17 years and 2 lousy pictures, and I asked for my release.
Alfred Hitchcock.
See, I don't believe in behaving like a director.
Jack Nicholson.
They didn't have orgasms in American films up until now.
And Orson Welles.
But I was left with one shot in Kansas City in an enormous convention hall. Held about 50,000 people, and it was a stormy night. There must have been about 25 way in the back. And the people who booked the lecture were so embarrassed nobody came to introduce me. So I stood in the wings a long time. Finally, the stage hand said, "You better go out there, Bob." So I walked out on this enormous stage and looked into the darkness. And said, "My name is Orson Welles, and I put on plays, and I write plays and act in them. I'm on the radio and paint, do a little magic, terrible silence. I said, I'm only sorry that there are so many of me and so few of you."
Robert Mitchum, you've made, I think, well over 60 films, and this part seems to be very different from anything else you've tackled. Is that basically why you took it, do you think?
No.
Why?
I have no idea why.
You don't know why you took the part?
Well, I had lost my foot in the tango, and I heard that Tony Havelock Allen was a former tango expert, so I thought I'd come and brush up on my steps. About the only reason I could think of.
Wasn't anything to do with the fact that you were about to commit suicide?
No, that was the alternative.
Who dissuaded you from this?
Mr. Bolt.
How?
Well, he said if I'd wait until the end of the film, he'd be happy to stand the expense of my burial.
Mr. Personality. He looks fun.
People aren't aware that they act all the time, that we are all actors and we are all putting on a performance to meet the situation in which we're in. Right now I'm being interviewed, and that is a certain kind of acting that goes into being interviewed. There's a certain affect I have that is different than if I'm playing pool. The
presence of an individual in the form of an actor on the stage or on the screen, if he strolls on and lights a cigarette and he looks interesting when he's doing it, that, to me, is an actor with control, nonchalance, saving himself for his dramatic moments.
I wouldn't want to be just an actor. You know, so I mean, I'm a director of a bank, I'm board of directors of industrial communications, and I have interest in I've got a 50% owner of a second-hand car business down East End, and I have a production company.
And for my next guest...
I still think we should go back to romantic pictures. The world is so angry. I'm no Cinderella, but by golly, the world is so angry that if we could get romantic pictures back again, and no angry young men, and have the young men have their hair cut, and the young ladies let it grow, I think we'd get back to a nice human relationship again throughout the world.
It was necessary, or I felt necessary, for the real depth of the film to show that they had a very full sexual relationship and not simply imply it by dissolving into the fireplace or the water dripping or the horses trampling around in the barn or, you know, someone's hand tearing at the sheets or, you know, whatever millions of devices they do to avoid it. And I simply filmed the scene fairly honestly, and the fact that the woman within the scene actually has an orgasm and states as such has caused mixed reactions among people.
Hollywood Nights will now take a short break.
Oh, I'll have a chili dog with everything I'm suing everybody.
Hollywood Nights is recorded before a dubbed audience.
I live now, I would say, I think in a rich neighborhood. I live across the street from the Metropolitan Museum of Art, which is this fabulous museum of art. And when I was younger, I used to hang out a lot at the museum in search of a meaningful social relationship of some. I used to look for girls at the museum. And I saw on the wall once a nude by Rubens, but a real succulent nude. A naked huntress stabbing to death a warthog. And I got very emotionally involved with the painting, you know, and two guards had to restrain me. Tried to lick some of the oil off the canvas. So I was thinking to myself, at that time, where is it that I could meet the kind of girl that would pose for that type picture? And in my neighborhood, there's an art supply shop that deals in offbeat things. And I run down there, and I get the name of an artist model off the wall. And I call her up. And I came on very strong like an artist. You know, I used a lot of very artistic terms like brush, I said, and easel. I was just adorable. And we agreed on a price, you know, and hung up. And I got all dressed up in my smock and beret, you know, and little Harvey's Bristol cream on the hair. You know? I'm too much when I want to be. And I waited there. An hour later, there's a knock on my door, and standing there is this fabulous woman, but really sensational. And I let her in quickly, you know, and I locked the door with my police lock immediately. And I said to her, take off your clothes right away, because I don't know much about art, but I know what I like.
You know, I got hold of a television set quite lately, and a goggle box, and he and I are very keen viewers. Yes, you are, aren't you? Yes. He's particularly keen on the commercials. There's a commercial for a biscuit called Crash the Cookie That Crumbles. You know it? Crash the crumbs and taste the sunshine. A little bit far-fetched. Fatty, don't dribble on Mr. Primsole's foot. It's the thought of the crash cookies. Isn't that interesting? But, you know, he can anticipate these ads coming on the little square screen, and he sits in front of it trembling and making little sort of... Yes, you do, don't you? Yes, well, don't do it now. Shut up.
Adrian, why the angry young man look?
Christmas present list, Daphne. You know, I'm stuck here with Aunt Millie, Cousin Florence, Sister Jane, and that skiffle-mad teenage niece of mine, Lulu.
Four, Adrian. I see they're all the gentle sex.
Except for Lulu. No, seriously, Daphne, I mean, can't you give me any suggestions?
Yes, I can, Adrian. It's a really well-chosen garment made from viscana. Now, that's one of Corto's rare fabrics for underwear that so many lingerie makers use, like this one. Now, you look at this bra and girdle by Excelsior. The girdle is designed especially for the shorter figure and for those of you who want a certain amount of molding support. It's got hook-side fastenings. It's made in really strong cotton couture with an attractive satin front. It's snug-fitting with gentle yet insistent boning.
I'm wearing a diagonal, but Graham, well, he likes the full harness, and that's chiefly a matter of choice. They both give jolly good protection. Autosafe do a lap belt too, but recommend it for the back seats only. I can't think of a better way to invest money than by buying an Autosafe. So many lives have been saved and so many serious injuries avoided with safety belts.
Well, David, what's next on the menu?
Actually, Graham, it's Barbara. And next on the menu is this wonderful new television set from Pi Electric. It's a real beauty, isn't it? And just look at that marvelous metallic finish. The watchword here is portable. You know, with television starting earlier and earlier, I find there's plenty on offer before I finished my chores. So now, with this new portable Pi, I can watch my favorite programs when and wherever I like. It takes just a few seconds to warm up and receives both channels. The controls are easily accessible here on the side, on, off, volume, brightness, and contrast. You see, they really thought of everything, haven't they? The portable Pi comes with an attractive indoor aerial and won't pick up interference from your hot point. It's available on hire purchase, so it needn't be a strain on the housekeeping. Just look at the quality of that picture.
The peas that are certain to please. They cause a sensation, no need to ask why. The whole population is rushing to buy those bachelor's wonderful peas. Served with the greatest of ease. The clocks are put back now, which means a repeat of one of the hours. Then oh, what a treat. Imagine a whole extra hour to eat those bachelor's wonderful peas. And of all women who name their favorite brand, 4 out of every 6 preferred those bachelor's wonderful peas. And everyone here now agrees, since those 2 British diplomats went on the run, we're sure that by now they regret what they've done. Just think of a lifetime with never a one of those bachelor's wonderful peas.
When you haven't much time to eat,
unzip a banana. When you fancy a fruity treat, unzip a banana.
Next time you unzip a banana, serve it with custard or add it to jelly. Bananas are delicious when baked, and they go perfectly with your breakfast cereal. Keep plenty in your fruit bowl, and
when you fancy a fruity treat, unzip a banana.
The famous Forth Bridge, and this is John Watson speaking. I'm here to carry out one of the can't-see tests with the new Churchman's Tip. The men who maintain the bridge are helping me during their lunch break. Each of them is smoking 2 cigarettes, an untipped cigarette and a Churchman's Tip. It's a genuine can't-see test because the end of each cigarette is concealed. Which cigarette do you prefer?
This one.
Which one is it?
The Churchman's Tip.
Thank you. Hundreds of these can't-see tests have proved that 2 out of every 3 smokers prefer the flavour of Churchman's Tip. Why? Specially blended tobaccos plus a tip that lets the flavour through. Try them yourself. Two to one, you'll prefer them too. Churchman's Tipped, the tipped cigarette you can really taste.
Next and finally we have Nights of Passion. Well, not that many, I'll wager. In recognition of the adult nature of the climax to tonight's entertainment, Channel 4 has dusted off its red warning triangle to ensure responsible viewing. It should appear on your screens about here.
The program which follows is of necessity frank about sexual matters, and parents who do not wish their children to be faced with such frankness are advised to switch off.